Okay, we're gonna put the swoosh way out in front with a little more speed. Wind it up and that's really good. Hey, this is Steve from HitItLonger.com. As usual, I hope you get enough value out of this video that you'll hit like. Hit the subscribe button, leave a comment down below, especially cheer on my longtime student Walt is joining me once again. Today we're going to learn how to build a really solid golf swing step by step. Things that we've talked about over time, but we're just going to reiterate them today for you because I think this process is really going to help you get your scores down, get your distance up, and build a really good repeatable golf swing. So stay tuned. So we're going to talk about 4 concepts today, and we're going to kind of break them down step by step to make it really, really easy for you to understand. Now, of course, you're not just going to magically acquire these skills. You're going to have to work at them a little bit. You're going to have to practice, but I'm confident that you're going to understand exactly how to go about this by the end of this video. So step 1, we're going to practice creating and maintaining a proper bow at the hips, a proper angle of inclination, which would mean hip flexion. So go ahead and see if you can take about a 30-degree bow. And we've got our speed whoosh here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to slide the chair in. You've watched the channel, you've seen how I like to use this. So what we're after here, we can measure this angle right here at the hip. So it wouldn't count if your back is curved or your chin is way down in your chest. So you're trying for, and I'd like to get you to bend about 5 degrees further to get to about a 30. So most golfers that you're seeing on TV, they're bowing with a reasonably straight back to approximately a 30 or even a 35 degree angle. Now there's some that might fall a little bit outside that, but majority of golfers that are good that you see on TV are bending about this much. So key number 1 here is that we set the angle and then maintain it through the swing. So we're using the chair to keep the rump back. Walt will try to keep his head forward in the same place. Now go ahead and take a couple of easy swings, keeping your butt on the wall. Terrific. Doesn't have to be fast. You're going to work on this at home. Okay, wonderful. And let's say you take one more and see if you can move laterally a little bit further down to the end of the chair and shift the weight that way. And let this foot come on up and over. So let me see you start a little narrower, feet. And let's see you end up on the tippy toe this time. That's much better. Okay, so you came off a little bit that time? Yeah, okay, bit. So slow it down if you find yourself having difficulty maintaining the bow, so set a little deeper bow. Nice. And slide and turn and let your foot come all the way up and over. And we're gonna have the finish should come down and touch the collar. There, with the foot all the way up here. Go ahead and slide this closer for me, okay? And then put your hip. So at the end of the swing, we still want our hip to be against the chair. Now you will have stood up by then. You're going to keep the bow throughout the swing until the follow through when the right arm reaches the horizontal after impact, and then you'll slowly start to stand up out of that. So 30 degrees, which is a little bit more than you're used to. Now maintain the butt depth and turn and wrap it around the neck and let your foot come up and over. Okay, so that's number 1. We're trying to simply find the right amount of degrees. That helps us a lot with the next step, which is setting the swing plane properly so we can hit the ball long and straight. All right, I love building the swing like this, step by step. We started with the hip angle and the hip depth, and this is really going to encourage us to swing on a proper plane. Now, if you can remember the Hogan image, and I'll put it up on the screen here, the Hogan image of the glass going from the ball up and resting on the golfer's chest, going through the neck like there's a hole in it and resting on the chest. Hogan just simply encouraged us to swing at or below that. And so here, this is going to be our representation of the Hogan glass. It really is pretty much as best I can in line with the shaft of the driver at address. And of course, the basket and the stick are going to prevent us from swinging above the Hogan plane, either going back at the top or coming down, which might result in steep outside in. So this is really going to get us a long way towards swinging from the inside, getting into that powerful slot position, which you'll see. We'll play this in slow motion again after we see Walt do a good one. So again, it's about 50% speed and effort. Now we're building block. It's going to be maintain the bow and miss the stick and bucket. Here we go. That's terrific. Again, at the end of the swing, you should have your left hip still touching, or ideally even lifting the chair off the ground. Can you show me lifting the chair off the ground, even if you have to sacrifice some clubhead speed, okay? The average good player that you might see on TV is lifting this chair about 1 inch while they move laterally towards the target about 6 inches or so with their left hip. The left hip should still end up just as deep at the end of the swing. He's successfully missing this, and you're going to see in slow motion that this is starting to resemble quite a solid swing. This is the type of swing, if we can build this and hit balls with this same swing, we can develop a golf swing that is going to help Walt shoot his age soon. All right, let's give him a couple more here. So it's under the stick and bucket, lift the chair, fantastic. In slow motion, you can see that Walt is really developing a beautiful swing plane. He's dropping it into the slot. We're going to see the last two building blocks from the face-on angle, and you're going to get to see how good this looks from there too. All right, now what will we be able to see from the face-on angle? Now we're going to add a third concept, which I often call putting your speed out in front. And this is going to help everyone out there who has issues with rotation, hitting the ball fat, hitting the ball thin, casting, flipping at impact. All these terms can be solved by just simply adding this third step into your swing, speed out in front. Let me use this as my indicator here. If there was no ball in the way, the fastest part of your swing should be about 30 yards or 30 inches out in front, which is about the front of this mat. So this is where you'd want to hear a swoosh. Luckily we have the speed whoosh that makes a nice loud swoosh sound. We'll be able to hear if Walt is making this at or even out ahead. And I encourage you to go more than 30 inches if you have any issue with creating lag or not rotating enough or problems with your divot location. Maybe you hit behind it all the time or top the ball. Practice maybe even up to double 60 inches out in front. And that'll really encourage you to turn. And again, I call this putting your speed out in front of the ball. Don't put your speed at it. Put your speed out in front of it. You'd be shocked at how much faster you will also get working on this exercise too. So this is a building block. I'm going to put the stick back to control the Hogan glass plane here. We're going to keep the hip depth. Also from this angle, you're going to be able to see this lateral hip slide. So Walt, if you could start at the back post like you're doing now, perfect. And that way you can have some chair that you can cover up. Again, these are swings that are maybe 50% effort, maybe 50% tempo. These are slow and easy. We're trying to overall get a gist. We're adding our third step, but the goal here is to come out with one fluid motion that you can almost repeat with your eyes closed, that no longer feels like parts anymore. Because that's the key to taking a swing like this out to the golf course, is when it just feels like one motion. You feel like an athlete. There's flow and tempo. You can do it with your eyes closed. That's the goal here. All right, well, we're going to be maintaining the bow, swinging under the glass plane, and swishing out in front. Terrific. That's amazing. Let's see if you can keep your feet a little closer together. Swish out in front. Okay, now just for fun, we'll show this one in slow motion. For those of you who really have an issue with losing the angle early, I'm going to have Walt purposely, and some people, the mental image is all you need. For some of my students, I give them the mental image that they're at a birthday party and they're 10 years old again, and they're going to whack a piñata. So where's the piñata? That's your mental image, is just you're going to turn and you're going to whack the piñata with the stick. Let's put the swoosh, we're going to put the piñata right about here, which is both further ahead and around the corner to the left. And we're going to show you this in slow motion. You're going to see how much lag, swoosh way out in front. Terrific. Now let's do one with just a little bit more speed, narrower feet. Walk to your right so that we are at the right post of the chair. This gives everybody watching at home, you see this amount of chair that's currently exposed. You're going to see at the end of the swing, or at the transition, he's going to be covering that up. So just like that. Now you're at the right post with some exposed chair. Okay, we're going to put the swoosh way out in front with a little more speed. Wind it up and that's really good. Now looking at that, back at that in slow motion, you can see, you gotta remember, Walt is, can we say you're not a spring chicken? Is that
76? Yeah, not sure.
Are you 76 yet?
Yeah.
You turned, okay, so Walt's turned 76, and yet you're seeing tempo, balance, rhythm. You're seeing lag. Look at the amount of lag that there is in the shaft coming down into the impact zone. So I can't really remember the last time you hit a really fat shot. So we've had, again, building blocks. You can build this step by step the same way that we are. Every day you can do a practice session just like this. You could even use just an alignment stick if you don't want to pay for the tool. This is probably cost you, you probably already have one of these. You can use this to hear your swoosh sound. So, well, what have we done? We've set the correct angle at address of the hips. We have practiced maintaining that. Then we added swinging under the Hogan glass. Then we added swooshing out in front and getting the speed out in front. And the last thing we're going to do is we're just going to simply practice building speed with these first three concepts.